working holiday visas, which means you can. It's the same thing as a travel. It's a 1-year travel visa. They basically give it to anyone under 30 in Australia, and you can apply up until you're 30, and then once you get that, you have another year to enter, and then you've got another year beyond that, while you're there to use it.
Gotcha.
So, it costs $300 or $400, but, you can go and make that money. You have the ability to work. And that was kind of what we wanted to do, is like, let's just go travel, see as much of Australia as we can, and then if we start needing some money or something, we'll just work. Or if we find a place we want to work, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Like if we find a farm, somebody needs bale hay or whatever, we have the ability to do that. So we didn't really have it in our mind to work, but we definitely wanted to do something simpler.
Yeah.
And that whole first 7 months, we didn't do anything, dude. We had like a tiny, basic cell phone that only, we didn't talk to anybody. We didn't have internet. We would like go to libraries and email people, like once every 2 weeks. And
yeah.
It was very liberating, and it was exactly what we needed. And then, so 6 months in Australia, another month in New Zealand, and then we were kind of like, because at the time the Australian and New Zealand dollar were very high.
Yeah.
Like it was like 115 US to 1 Aussie dollar.
Gotcha.
And because traditionally the Aussie dollar is usually like, because Carrie went to Australia in like 2005, and it was like 50 cents. 50 Australian cents to
the American
dollar. And so all the prices are already inflated, but now we're on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And it just wiped us out. We did work for a while. We picked grapes at a winery, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But then we ended up going to Korea to work, also as English teachers. And we'd kind of set this in motion before we left, to have it as an option. We didn't know if we were going to do it, but by that time we were kind of like, Australia and New Zealand are these foreign lands, but they're not a real departure from American suburban life.
I can speak Irish.
Right. Yeah. So, and this was something we wanted to do, to go teach English, because we also knew it could be lucrative. We knew that Korea was probably one of the more lucrative situations for people who aren't teachers or whatever.
Yeah.
So we went there. And we were there for 15 months, which also would have been a great time.
Is there any base of Korean language? Can you speak any, or can Carrie speak any?
No, you just basically, we learned how to order what food we wanted, order beer, and tell a cab driver how to take us to our apartment.
Nice.
That was kind of it. It's actually a very easy language to learn to write and read, but I just never put that effort into it. We never really. We didn't find it useful. It wouldn't be like going and spending 15 months in Mexico or Spain or something like that, because then you can go other places and use it. They speak Korean only in Korea.
Yeah. So as teaching English, how does that work? Are you in there strictly speaking English, teaching English?
So let's do a whole nother topic on this. Okay. Let's go back to the blog. So that also would have been a great time to start a blog, but we were still busy. We were still we had our evenings and stuff. We had a more regular life, right?
Yeah.
Where we would go to a job and work for 8 hours and then come home. But, it was cool to live in a different culture, but we still would have had the time.
Yeah.
But also, on the weekends, we were always traveling. They have a nice network for expat teachers, because it's such a huge industry there to have white people teaching.
Oh, really?
We can get into that later, but that we just didn't. We were we weren't ready to take that jump. But that was the time when we started our Instagram account. Let's have this Instagram account, and people can kind of stay up on what we're doing. We'll post one picture a day. And we came up with this idea of 365 travel pics. That was this hashtag that we decided to do. We'd post one picture a day. And from my knowledge, I think that we were the first ones to kind of use that hashtag. And so that's what we started doing. And all of a sudden, you've got people that are following you, and you're looking at different hashtags, and you're figuring this thing out, and it starts to bloop, 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 and you're kind of how many followers do we have today?
Yeah.
How many likes did we get today? And you sort of you get your first drink of that juice, and you're this is kind of interesting. You're communicating with people, you're hopefully inspiring people. Cut to, a year later, when we're in Southeast Asia, and we've got, 20,000 followers or something like that. now you're like, well, we can't let our followers down. Like, we got to be around the internet. We got to be posting. Like, have you looked at the pictures? Have you done the color correction? Like, what? And then we were like, man, this is kind of exciting. So what if we start a Facebook page too? So now we have this TravelinStiles Facebook page.
Yeah.
And then, we're constantly traveling. We're never taking a breath. We're just doing these one little things that we think they're just kind of fun. Well, then you start talking to other people and travelers and people who are real travel bloggers, and you find out that they're like, they're doing it. They're making enough money to sustain their travel. Some of them are saving money.
Yeah.
Some of the most successful people are making 6 figures, and they're getting to travel, and they're writing books, and they're doing all these like amazing things. So then you start to think, you're like, I could do that. And you're comparing yourself, like, can I write as good as this person? Are my pictures as good? Are my adventures good enough? And you're like, fuck yeah. Yeah, they are. We're at that level. We can do that. And so it wasn't until we were going to go to Europe in 2016. We went to Europe for the summer. Right before then, that was like when we came home, this 2015 for Christmas. And then like we had some family issues. And we were like, let's do this blog. Should be no problem. We'll get it all set up. Piece of cake. Then we'll be off. And then you start to build a WordPress blog, and you're like, this is a ton of work, and I'm not a fucking rocket scientist. We gotta hire somebody to build this thing and make it look the way we want. Because we dabbled through and went through all the custom themes and shit, and we were like, none of this is working for us.
Yeah.
We need a nerd.
Yeah.
And we got a nerd, and he's an awesome nerd, and he built an awesome website for us. It was exactly what we wanted. And then, so we were stoked, but like we just couldn't finish it. We weren't ready to start producing content by the time the site was finished.
Yeah.
Or to the point where we wanted to. So we basically, while we were traveling, we were also doing some remote work just to make a little bit of money, and then continuing to sort of off and on work with our web designer to build this website. And also collecting photos and creating content and ideas and all this stuff. So we didn't even launch the site until we got back to the U.S. in December 2016. We didn't even put the blog online until this April, where we've only been doing like domestic travel. But we had all this stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is kind of a backlog. And we kind of got stuck at home now with just having some more, like, we've had a couple tough years family-wise with some deaths and disease and things like that. And that was another really hard thing when we were traveling, because that's what you miss, right? People are like, what do you miss? You miss this or that. The other thing is like friends, family, that's it.
Yeah. And
to be away, we had a couple scares where, Carrie's dad had a stroke in 2015. And we're way up in the mountains up in Myanmar. Yeah. Like in this crew, we're like, a 15-hour bus ride from anywhere. Yeah. And, the fucking looking for cell phone signal once we get off the bus, and like we click in like a little bit of like Wi-Fi thing and get this email that's like, hey, you need to call home immediately. And you have those moments, you're like, fuck. Yeah. It's so scary, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing you can do. You're, 3 days away from being able to get anywhere?
It's kind of one of those silly things, and like people probably can't relate to this, but you're like, oh, there's a plane leaving in 2 days. Yeah. You can get on a bus and you can get to Yangon in 3 days from now, but you have to go here first, and then you have to see if you can get a flight to, Mumbai, and then you can fly home, So you're like, how am I going to organize all this? Yeah. Luckily it wasn't all strokes are serious, but it wasn't the sort of thing. And like Carrie's family was like, hey, you're just going to he's okay. Yeah. You're just going to make him embarrassed if you come run home. So he chose to stay on the road. And then we had a couple other family things that were a bit more, that didn't turn out so well. And, my stepmom passed away, which, she got diagnosed with cancer in June. Oh. By December 1st, she had passed. Really pulled the rug out from under my dad, and that's kind of been the main genesis of being home this year, is for us to kind of take a break and see if we want to go back and travel. We definitely still have that passion, but there's some important things here. We've been gone for almost 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So it's about... You do, because that's something that's important to you. And while it's out there and like this is becoming our persona, we have this blog, we have this thing, we want to portray this, we want to find a way to make money doing it, because who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah.
Like that's what the thing that's cool about it is like, we're doing something we want to do. Right now, even if we're not making money, it's still incredibly rich.
Yeah.
And satisfying to put stuff out there and have people connect with it or find it useful or whatever.
Absolutely.
But it's also important to be there and like, you know, not be. It is a selfish move for us. Yeah. It was a selfish move for us when you think about your network, right, of people. So we've just kind of been back in, just doing something different.
Yeah.
Which has been, I don't know, it's frustrating. It's a bit of an adjustment period, you know.
Getting in four walls again and
yeah, like having a couch. We always get addicted to the couch right when we get home.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, what's this? Oh my god, look at how many channels there are. How many streaming services. Let's watch TV for like 6 days before we move.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always like, those are the things you kind of miss, but those are also the things I was just saying, you know, those are the things we bucked when it was time to go.
It's God, that's a hell of a story. I'm shocked that you've only been really actively doing that blog for a year, because that's a kick-ass site.
Well,
your content is amazing, and the pictures are astounding.
My wife has an incredible eye for photography, and she just, in my opinion, and she'll say the same thing. We're not photography geeks, and luckily now you can buy a camera that makes everything look like $1 million bucks. And we always, when people are like, "Oh my God, your pictures are amazing! You guys are so amazing," it's like, well, all we did was point this machine at the Earth.
It knows how to do it.
It takes care of it. And there's like a famous like Ansel Adams quote that's like, you know, there aren't any good pictures, just good places to stand.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it is. I mean, we just go cool places.
Yeah.
That's what we really, like I was talking about that Chichen Itza thing, you just start to, you're like, you can get to these places, these amazing places, whether they're man-made or natural, and sometimes you're around people and sometimes you're alone, but there's still, if you're into it and you make it a journey, there's always a like really rewarding moment. You know, there's always something that you can glean from it.
What's a place that is like on your, what's your top 5
that I need to do, or that you've already
seen? What's like the most amazing?
We always that's a good question, because people are always like, "What's your favorite country? What's your favorite place?" I'm trying to think, because there's also experiences that are wrapped up in things too. Things that are just like you can't believe is when you go to like Ayers Rock, Uluru in Australia. There's way out in the middle of nowhere, and you can see this thing from miles away, and you just have no frame of reference. I mean, you're like, wow, that looks big. That's a big rock. And you get closer to it, and you're like, wow, that's still so big. And then you're next to it, and you're like, it takes 2 hours to walk around this thing. This is huge. And you just have you just can't have any, you're like, what is this doing here? You know, and then all the culture that's built up around that, and all the stories you learn about the Aboriginal people and how it was a, you know, real sacred, holy thing for them, and it's at the center of their, you know, belief system and all that kind of stuff. And so that, I mean, that physically in you know, real space, it's amazing, but also that meta stuff that comes from it too.
Yeah, everything you get to learn about it.
Right.
Backstory.
Yeah. And like Machu Picchu, that's one that you get. I mean, it's another place you're like, how is this here?
Yeah.
How is this here at the top of this mountain? And there's just like a rock that's like this, it's like a, you know, it's like 10 feet wide and 10 feet tall, and somehow they've carved it into a perfect square and then set more rocks on top of it to build this giant wall of other 10 foot, 10 by 10, you know, 15-ton rocks, and it's held together for 1,000 years by gravity. There's no cement, there's no rebar, there's no nothing.
Yeah.
And it's sat here at the top of this mountain for ages. And it blows you away. And I mean, one of the cool things too is like when you go to Machu Picchu and you visit one of the things, they always make sure that you're in there for sunrise. And it's just one of the most